also kind of segues into our next topic, which is also Nintendo focused, in that Nintendo's announced that they're going to be creating Nintendo Land Park at Universal Studios theme park in Florida. And they already had a couple things that they had patents for. This doesn't obviously guarantee that this is what we're going to see, but a couple things that we know that are probably in the works. First one that I thought was a great idea is Mario Kart, which will be a go-kart thing. And the other one was a Donkey Kong Country, where you're kind of in the mine cart going through like a ride, which would be awesome. What I wanted to ask you guys is, what parks would you like to see at a Nintendo Land theme park? And I'll start off with a couple ideas I had. When I saw that the Mario Kart patent, I read that today because that was one of the ideas that I already had. Go-karting is pretty simple, but you know what I think would be awesome with go-karting? Because when you think about Super Mario Kart, you're thinking shooting shells at people and all that type of stuff. Well, in the age that we're in, especially with something like Universal Studios that can put money into this, it would not be difficult to put up whatever your glass, whatever you want to call it, the visor, the screen in front of you, and have reflective HUD elements like augmented reality, where you can see like your red shells spinning around your ship, or you shoot it at the guy in front of you, so you're actually seeing the overlays on top of what you're seeing through the glass. Can you imagine playing Mario Kart and feeling like, oh, there comes that blue shell, and you can see it go to hit them, and then that stops the cart? I mean, I think that would be really freaking cool. I hadn't thought about the Donkey Kong Country aspect. There's the usual suspects that are easy, obviously. Mario Kart and the Mushroom Kingdom, question mark blocks in the sky, big green tubes that kids can jump into and slide down, an underground area with the cool music. Zelda, you got to have the Lost Woods with the Master Sword and a pedestal that you can take pictures by. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you just got to have stuff like that. Those are the obvious ones. But from Nintendo's properties, and obviously we're probably thinking Nintendo owned.
Yeah.
Maybe a few third-party ones but there's a lot of licensing issues that have to be done for them to actually go to the trouble of doing third-party stuff. So let's just start with Nintendo published for starters. What would you guys like to see in a Nintendo Land park?
I would like to see, and maybe this is just because I'm a little cynical about the design, but just the kind of like a failed game type realm. One of those that kind of had like, oh, you walk by like, oh yeah, there was Section Z. Oh man. Yeah, that one was, Deadly Tower. Oh.
Now, do you really think that's going to hit a mainstream audience enough for them to build and put money into something? Other than the three of us and a handful of other people saying, oh, yeah, I remember that game, everybody else would be like, what the hell is this crap? Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's crap.
Yeah, that would be cool. What else?
Other than that, I mean, I'd just kind of like to see something like a retro realm. Mm-hmm. Again, just going back to the roots of the original NES system, and then just kind of building around something 8-bit design.
Yeah, if you saw giant pixelated fire flowers or like Octoroks from Zelda, or something like that.
You could pretty much use the entire Nintendo catalog for that.
Yeah,
because essentially it's more about just the design and having that look rather than the substantive.
Right.
We're dealing with this specific game or these specific games, so there's a lot more open to that.
Yep. What about you, Matt? Do you think of any Nintendo Land parks you'd like to see?
Just off the top of my head, I think Duck Hunt would be awesome.
Like a shooting gallery type of thing, or how would you do that as like a park thing?
A shooting gallery. I mean, if you could even make it more interactive in a way, that would be even better.
So that dog that laughs.
Give me the chance to shoot the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give you the chance to shoot the dog. You
know
how much Nintendo loves taking their cute IP and you torturing the hell out of their characters.
Are you kidding me? It's hard to distinguish for me between what Nintendo made and what was third party.
Well,
so it's hard
throw that argument out of it.
It's hard to kind of cherry pick what you'd like to see.
Right. So what would you like to see, even if it was third party?
They're big things from their cartoons for like Kid Icarus. Mm-hmm. Obviously Zelda.
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine actually going into something that was like level 1?
As far as for the...
Like level 1 from Zelda? Like when you went in there and they actually had the rooms and you actually had to go into the square rooms one at a time or open up doors and stuff? Yeah. Wait, do we have like a serious delay here?
Housey for me. Yeah, it is pretty bad.
Huh. Oh well. We'll deal with it. 1, 2, 3, and now he hears it.
Did you guys want to restart or what?
No, because I'd have to reach all the way over there. Ah,
Oh yeah. Well,
well,
why get up?
you
right?
can. Hit end on that.
All right.
I got poor connection on my end,
That's okay. As long as we got you good on here, that's what's going to go on screen.
and I can hear you good too. So
Okay, cool. All right, so wouldn't that be cool, though, to have, like, Zelda, the rooms that you actually went in and they actually recreated one of the levels from the original game?
that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they didn't make it seem like a haunted house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else they could do with the IP. I don't know how you do Punch-Out. You could have, like, a sports bar or a sports restaurant but, I mean, I don't know how else you'd put Punch-Out into a park. What are else some of the big... What now?
Oh, I was thinking some of those things. I mean, I'm trying to relate them to like modern attractions and rides that you'd have, like the Scrambler, obviously bumper cars, things like that. Like even like a roller coaster theme.
You know, it'd be cool if they took the premise of Space Mountain from Disney World and they did something like that with Star Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where you're in that. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yep.
And
That
then,
would be cool.
Yeah, they could actually. So you're in an R wing with probably a handful of people. So they could do the ride aspect and some kind of shooting aspect, or even if it was just 3D with 3D glasses where you're flying through all that stuff, that would be surreal. I think that'd do a lot for adding, and they have such an opportunity to add so many new and young, up and coming Nintendo fans to introduce them to some of these properties and the roots of why they were so great, like the 8-bit, where they came from. I think that could really strengthen the brand. Do you guys think that this is kind of a resurgence of Nintendo? Do you think that this, with the Switch coming out, new announcements January 12th, I think it is, for the Nintendo Switch, the Switch coming out, Super Mario Run, which is looking like it's going to be better than what we thought it was going to be. Do you guys see Nintendo turning the ship?
For sure.
The theme park is always good. It's going to be a risky gamble. It could pay off, especially when it comes down to just expanding the market. But that's a rough gig to get into. I don't know if I call it so much as riding the ship. Personally, I don't know if it probably would have been the most prudent thing to jump into that particular kind of that kind of industry, because again, no real experience for it. And my thoughts is that they're going to stick to their big name titles for it and just do that only, which is fine. But I'm still trying to wrap my head around how well this thing can kind of play out.
Because I'm assuming they're working. It's going to be at Universal Studios. They're working with the people that do parks. It's not like Nintendo's just jumping into this with no experience. I mean, they're going to work with talented people.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wait to see. But
I think Universal's steering the ship in that regard. What Nintendo's invested in is obviously their brand and their proprietary things that they have, their characters, their themes. So, I mean, I know initially when this was announced back in March of this year, it was just going to be Japan.
Right.
And then obviously Universal found enough interest in it to expand that to Orlando and Florida. I mean, I don't know when the open dates are, but the original open date for the Japanese one was 2020. So I imagine they're going to try to stick to that and do a mass opening for all three parks.
Here's kind of a good litmus test. You go down to Universal Studios with your family. Do you think that you or your kids or both of you be just as excited to see the Nintendo Land portion of the park as anywhere else?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's one of the first things that would pop into my mind if I went down there.
Between that and Star Wars?
Yeah.
I mean, those are the big things that would get me to Orlando.
Cool.
The other stuff is all old. I mean, surprised my kids know who Mickey Mouse is at this point.
Yeah. Guarantee they know Mario. And now because of their wise father, they know who Piston Honda is.
Of course. And then if they bring the Pokemon aspect into it.
That's such an obvious one.
They could sell Pokeballs. They could have Pokemon running around. That's huge. I mean, the market for that is just enormous right now.
How did we not think about that?
And always has been, really.
You'd almost think Nintendo would put 50% of their efforts behind Pokemon. From everything to parks to gyms to contests there. Can you imagine all of the merchandise they would sell at Nintendo stores, not just Pokemon, but everything alone? Pokemon would be huge there. I didn't even think of that. It didn't occur to me. That's huge. That's awesome. God, I would love to go there and you see like hundreds of people playing updated versions of Pokemon Go. They don't have it where you can fight each other yet, do they? Outside of gyms?
No, not
You
yet.
know that's coming. Or do you
Yeah.
think that that's something that they're building up the mobile version of the app so that you can transfer your Pokemon over to your Nintendo Switch full version of Pokemon where you can actually fight and do that with other people? That'd be a great Trojan.
It would be interesting if they did.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a really great way to get people invested in the Switch? Because, I mean, Pokemon Go is basically one of the biggest success stories of a game of all time. What did they have? 180 million people playing it worldwide in the span of less than a week? That's insane. That's huge. And even if you transfer 5% of them to paying customers on Nintendo Switch to play the full-fledged version of the game, where you can do what you're used to in a Pokemon game and trade, Pokemon with other people and fight and battle and all that type of stuff. That is so brilliant. That'd be huge. That's cool.
Well, and there's like 700 Pokemon. More than that. There's more than 700 Pokemon right now. So, I mean, as far as for who they can pull from, the characters and stuff, the game itself, Pokemon Go only has like an index of like 236 or 235 characters right now. And their big thing right now is to get more of those out there.
That'd be a nice pull for the park.
So
though, if
you can only imagine that
Yeah.
the theme park's going to have to include that. It's just such a huge part.
Sure.
Yeah, exclusive Pokemon that you could only get at the park. Because they have that world. Aren't there some Pokemons you can only get in some parts of the world?
As far as I know,
Yeah. And that's so cool. Because then that's bragging rights when you come back from Europe and you've got 3 Pokemon that your friends know that they can't get without traveling over there. That's really
Or
freaking
cheating.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I don't think that we're going to beat a bigger idea than Pokemon at the Nintendo Land Park, so that's awesome. I hope we get to see some stuff like that there too. Did you guys have any other last-minute ideas for Nintendo Park?
Nope.
And well, if you can think of any other good ideas for Nintendo Land Park that we didn't come up with putting our 3 heads together, which I hope so, let us know in the comments below.